Hello, guys. I hope you're ready for this one. Sabalenka Ostapenko, Rome quarterfinals. That's, of course, going to be the second day of women's singles quarterfinals at the Italian Open. Yesterday, Iga Świątek defeated Madison Keys and Coco Gauff defeated Qinwen Zheng. Today, we have four matches in store in Rome in terms of the singles. Starting right up will be Ostapenko Sabalenka. Then we have Tabilo Zhang in the afternoon session or whatever. I'm going to be here for like the first 80 minutes of this match, probably. I doubt it's going to be over by then, but that's when I will have to leave and someone else will take over. But as far as I know, at least, I think the stream will continue. So don't worry about that whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, we're just due to start. Ostapenko Sabalenka, massive big hitting contest. Who kind of gets to usually handle themselves better in such battles. I think Sabalenka, but yeah, it's Ostapenko. You never really know what sort of level she's going to produce on the day. Aryna has been going 3 sets with everybody, just like she tends to, and it might not be that easy for her to just dominate here. Let's see if that's exactly going to be the case again. Like a 3-set battle of massive power hitting, which we expect. That's exactly the kind of thing I'd like to see today. And of course, the other quarterfinal will be Collins against Azarenka, but that's much, much later in the day. So far, we are definitely beginning on a high note. Ostapenko hitting the super flat cross-court forehand winner a second ago, where she just, I mean, yeah, it's just impossible to get to a ball like this. But now she actually loses a very fast-paced point exchange. Aryna, of course, is coming off the Madrid final. Ostapenko last few months has kind of dropped her consistency. Last 2023, we're constantly talking about her being like just in such consistent form finally, but that wasn't actually happening. Here's someone. Can you maybe I'll mute it? I guess I just muted it. Unless you wanted to say something, the producer, but well, for now you were just some noise. Anyway, 30-15 Ostapenko now after another forehand winner like this, just rapid cross-court, very low bouncing, but it's not been easy so far for her to dominate in this game, as Sabalenka hits a very big, deep, heavy forehand return. And we are already at 30-all. I will in a second talk about the history of their matchup as well, which hasn't been that obvious, like hasn't been very easy to understand, I would say. But for now, let's just focus on this first breakpoint that we have for Aryna, as another good return produced an Ostapenko error. That's an ace for Jelena. That's not that common. I mean, obviously she is a pretty good server, but the ball that she was able to produce here, just ungettable. Not even about the speed, but also about how high it bounced, and the angle that she got on it. And it looks like it might just get her out of trouble with this next point also being pretty much set up by the serve. She's then quick to clean it up with the backhand +1. And who knows, maybe she actually will get off to a very decent start here. Game isn't over just yet, as the last few points have been just decided by Ostapenko hitting a big ball here or there, out or not. And well, that might be the case for a lot of times tomorrow. Or today, that might be the case for a lot of the match. That it's just Ostapenko slamming the ball and seeing what's going to happen. Of course, Sabalenka does have the tools to kind of stop her in her tracks and fight back. But even for someone like her, it's not that easy to play on your terms against Jelena. But right now, we have another backhand unforced error into the net. And I think she's just been broken. The chair umpire is going to check the mark. Oh no, actually, she says it's in. I think we're going to see a Hawkeye of this. This was very, very close. I was thinking it's probably out, but seems like Aryna, well, has to agree with the chair umpire now. Looking at the mark on camera, it seems super close. Are we going to get the Hawkeye? Usually we do here in Rome, but I don't see it now. Yeah, they haven't shown us the Hawkeye of the mark. But it seems that Ostapenko just saved herself with this ball that literally just tapped the line. I mean, so close. And I guess in the end it's gonna be a game for Ostapenko based on that very close call and another very close call here, as the chair umpire is gonna check the mark on the Sabalenka return, but it is out indeed. So it is going to be a first game for the Latvian. That was a bit of a crazy one for sure. I mean, so much stuff happening, a few breakpoint saves, especially the massive serve, the ace that she got out of trouble with. That was impressive. And then she just slams that forehand on the second breakpoint, and it turns out it's in. So and here we go with the second game of the match. Aryna to serve. Maybe she's gonna kick off with our first ball aggression, as basically that's the first point here. I mean, we're gonna get a lot of that in this match, right? I think it's been pretty warm as well in Rome, which definitely supports that sort of play. And yeah, we're watching two of the biggest ball bashes of the tour. Although Ostapenko is significantly more bashed, I think. Still, Sabalenka, just a couple of quality serves, quality +1 shots as well. Nothing that Jelena can. Serving advantage definitely is with Aryna today, which I think could potentially be one of the deciding factors for this match, actually. Like, that's just a supply of free or, easy points that she will be getting regardless of what Ostapenko is doing out there. And that can be of big help for sure. And it seems that Sabalenka will kind of cruise to the first game. There's a net court keeping her in the point. She has Ostapenko back foot and eventually gets it done. I mean, I think we're already seeing that this match will have ooh, little to no rhythm. And I don't know if it will be a good watch. It certainly will be filled with drama because it's an Ostapenko match. We're going to have line calls questioned all over the place, if that's your thing. And I still think we will probably enjoy the next 70-75 minutes of this with me and whoever comes next. Or maybe it's just a very short one, but it doesn't seem like this will be particularly lopsided. It could be short though in terms of the could be short of in terms of the pace of play. Okay, I have to focus a little bit. If I could play on any court in the world, what would that be? I mean, given I've never played on grass probably gotta be just something there. So let's just say Wimbledon. Center court. Maybe it's not a hipster answer. I would definitely love to play on carpet somewhere as well. I haven't played, maybe some green clay court, but I don't know if I have any like particular setting. It's rather more about the conditions or maybe at altitude in Mexico. But I don't think if there's any court in the world that I would like to play on. Like really, it's mostly about the conditions, I suppose, rather than conditions I haven't played in yet, rather than actual place setting and stuff. So kind of that's my answer to this. I think who's more likely to win the French Open? Milhouse is a very interesting question. Rublev or Ostapenko? I think given what's happening to Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic, we gotta answer Andrei Rublev. Also, well, the men's event doesn't really have an Iga Świątek, who's like a 50-50 against the field. So gotta be Andrei, I think. Oh, the WTA don't show Hawkeye, says Terry. That's interesting. And that kind of shows you I have not been watching too much Rome either. But I already told you that yesterday on the stream that when I was in Mauthausen, I wasn't really following Rome that much. I mean, I was following the results. I was watching just a few matches. So, but okay, so that's why we didn't get the Hawkeye. That's very weird. Which tournament has the slowest courts on tour? Main tour, it must be like what? Oh, there's a lot of clay courts that are like pretty similar. I don't know, like Monte Carlo and stuff, right? There's definitely gonna be Indian Wells involved in there, although maybe the courts there aren't actually. Well, they are like they the ball bounces into the air, but maybe it's not actually that slow. There's gonna be like all these very slow indoor events as well that we're getting caught now, like Rotterdam, like I don't know, Paris. I don't know. It's tough to which one is the slowest. It's probably still one of the clay courts, one of the sea-level European clay courts. Anyway, Sabalenka doing more dents on the, or rather making more dents on the Ostapenko serve. That's a brilliant forehand return cross court. Ostapenko is like looking at her, like, why did you do that? Well, I mean, it was a great shot. They're trading backhand cross now. And I think Ostapenko might have just overcooked that angle. Yes, indeed. So it's an early break for looking pretty dominant so far. Just the contrast of serve and return so far is looking pretty brutal for Ostapenko. But I guess we'll find out soon if that continues. Of course, I would say that Jelena in particular is probably a very good returner of like weaker serves, like just crushes the ball whenever someone is not serving 50 or something like that. But when she's facing a really strong first serve, like I remember her against Kim Zheng a couple of years ago, for example, when Ostapenko just started guessing, like literally started guessing where the serve was going to be because her reactions were not really up to par. And against serves like this, she kind of tends to struggle. So maybe that's how it's going to continue with that serve return contrast being so important. But I guess we'll find out soon. And yes, John is doing interviews in Oeiras. You can find them on the channel. I think already there's a Buruchaga one. I'm not sure if anything else, but yeah, he is doing some content in Oeiras, which of course is the challenger held in Portugal this week in Jamor actually, but it's called Oeiras. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting event. I think today I haven't watched anything from it yet, but yesterday a couple of matches. So far today they're just playing their first set. Today it's round 2 because 3 of the 5 challengers this week are ending on a Saturday. Tunis, Oeiras, and Taipei, whereas Bordeaux and Turin are ending on Sunday as usual, but they also started a day earlier. That, of course, is mostly due to the Roland Garros qualifying and how the players have to travel and, well, be well rested. All right, and Sabalenka serving 2-1 up. Let's see if she's just as dominant. Definitely the first serve percentage has been high for now. All right. Sorry, I was just setting up some details because, as I said, I'm leaving later and just had to figure some things out with the people I will be meeting. But for now, let's just enjoy this one. As I said, 2-1. And to my point about Ostapenko just crushing every single serve, that's not 150. Sabalenka frozen this second serve, just rolling it into the box. And Jelena is there with a massive shot, but it's not good enough. It's fairly low for Sabalenka anyway. She just missed it. Interesting short as well from Sabalenka, really setting her up for the next shot. And she comes up with a backhand drop shot as well, well disguised. I think there's a bit of wind in Madrid, and I believe that these shots that she was just Madrid, of course, Rome, and I believe that shot she was just playing, that was probably against it, which made it really stick to basically the after the bounce it stopped moving towards Ostapenko whatsoever. The Latvian is there with a bit of a warning though, 141. That's from Sabalenka, and we have a return winner from Ostapenko. I think maybe the first one of the match, but I'm pretty sure more will be coming. So keeping that first serve percentage high for Aryna will be pretty important as the match goes on. As otherwise, it's just Ostapenko slamming the return, and you don't really know if she's going to make it or not. This time she does, but Sabalenka saves herself with this crouching forehand. She still loses the point. So now she really needs to be cautious for 30. As Penko will be looking to line herself up for one more massive return and get us to deuce out of nowhere. But let's see if Sabalenka can do something about it. The first serve is in, and it's going to be the point. This was a bit too centric, I would say. Like, definitely just not even at the body, but just throwing the first serve into the service box. But it does the trick. It does the trick. It's still fast enough for Ostapenko to be too slow with her reaction, and she is 1-3 down after 18 minutes. So far, quite dominant for Sabalenka, but we'll see if that continues. She's returning better, she's serving better, and that's really where the match has been won so far, or, is on the way to be won. Especially as now she finds another good reaction on that forehand lunging forehand return. It's deep, it's dangerous, and it doesn't give Ostapenko much time to react. Of course, serve and return are not really the only shots we have in tennis, but they are the most important. Even on a court like this with two very aggressive players, we definitely still get that. Can I talk about Alejandro Tabilo? I mean, Keen, he was born in Toronto, Tabilo, so that's why he doesn't really sound, Chilean in his English. I mean, he's a native speaker and he was raised in Canada, then lived in the US as well. Well, he was kind of like brought up in the Canadian system rather than Chilean, and he's only been residing in Chile for a few years now. Can I talk about Tabilo and what can I say? Honestly, like getting to the tour, I did think he was pretty good, but maybe not as good as he's doing right now. But as you say, he has this very fast arm. He has the great serve, the drop shots. Basically, the fact that he's like a very quick rallies type of player on clay courts, and he still makes it work. But I think sometimes when that early aggression is neutralized, he can kind of struggle to keep it going. I think in the past he was also maybe a little like with his movement, with his feet, he was a little slower. Like he was just not dynamic enough. Like I think his game was a little I don't want to say robotic, but I don't think he was just like a very natural flow oriented player. Like he was just kind of there, hits the great serve, hits a big forehand, but after that, there's not much of an ability to follow it up. Whereas right now, I feel like he's actually also getting really consistent. The final against Munar in Aix-en-Provence recently, for example, like he was actually outgrinding Munar a lot of the time. And it makes a big difference in his game when he's got something to like back that weaponry up. But yeah, I mean, it's been a very impressive sort of like 14, 15 months. Because if you go back to February of last year, he was having an time to like 180 in the rankings. And if you told him that like 15 months later, you're going to be seeded for Roland Garros, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't believe you. But here we are. And yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for how he developed his game over the past 2, 3 years. But yeah, certainly, like when you look at him, you can see that the ceiling is going to be high, and that he's sort of like in a very like usual way talented, right? Like it's very apparent that he's a talented tennis player. I think where he is right now, like the sort of achievements that he's putting in, that's probably gonna be around his max. Like I don't really think he's gonna, I don't know, make the top 10, win a slam or something, contend for some or something like that. But yeah, I mean the especially the last 15 months when his career seemed to be in big trouble in February 2023, and since then, just turning it around completely. That's been very impressive. Ostapenko is trying to really like hold on to this set here, saves a break point with a +1 forehand, but yeah, things are not looking that bright for her. Once again, it's just really the return of Sabalenka doing a lot of damage on serve. She hasn't been troubled, and Ostapenko just constantly has to hit these first ball shots, or third ball if you want to count the serve. Just she has to hit them kind of off her timing, has to hit them while behind, and that's not really where Ostapenko shines, of course. And it's another breakpoint for Sabalenka after a great return. So that pattern is certainly continuing. But Jelena does like that serve today, and that out wide on the outside, and it's been giving her a lot of help. That ace, and also now just throwing Sabalenka out of the court a little bit. She's like out of the tram line, can't find a backhand turn. The wind is really blowing the clay into the players' faces and the umpires as well. They're trying to cover themselves up now. But yeah, we're back at deuce, but it's just more and more trouble for Ostapenko here. And if she can't hold at 1-4, it will be tough to return to this one. Sabalenka goes for another massive return that she's trying to find the line with, but I don't think she did. So it seems that Ostapenko might just climb out of this. Hello, Nurlan. Hello, Ghosty as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure when Keen was mentioning sound, he meant the accent rather than the words that he chose. Hello, Nurlan. I am both excited and scared of your questions today. But yeah, I'm willing to take them on as usual. Whew. Another huge forehand return from Sabalenka. The second serve of Ostapenko just getting ripped to pieces here. And we're going to have another break point as Jelena is really fighting for her life in this set. Sabalenka has been pretty clinical so far. And if she can keep doing that, this is not going to be easy for the Latvian. And yes, she is in big trouble. She is double breakdown already. Another very quick backhand return. Sabalenka steps into the court. Once again, Ostapenko just can't play that first shot after the serve with such aggression and the velocity that she goes for. She's just a little behind in the point already. She's off her favorite timing, and she's not been handling that well so far. So 1-4 down, double break. Sabalenka in prime position to take this first set. In the meantime, or actually, sort of around when this was finishing, we also had the doubles quarterfinal, is it? Between a couple of very interesting things. Bublik Shelton against Cerundolo Echeverri, and it's actually Bublik Shelton making it through to the semifinals in Rome. Will they be the Korda Thompson? I guess Korda Thompson is a little different though, because Thompson is such a good doubles player. Then again, of course, Bublik was in the Roland Garros finals, so maybe it still counts. But yeah, in the semifinals, they will play either Gila Viegan or Granollers Zeballos. So I think Bublik Shelton are kind of like the only primarily singles player, singles pair left in the. Soon enough, we're also going to have another doubles quarter between Arevalo Pavic and Ram Salisbury. There's also a couple of women's doubles matches coming up. I think they are at the semi stages though. No, it's still the court. Goff Routliff against Siniakova Townsend, and also Saisai Zheng really in the quarterfinals of Rome. Okay. Well. And John in Oirash has a few matches to choose from as well, but we are watching Sabalenka and Ostapenko. Let's see if the next few games, especially on serve, will be as easy for Aryna as they've been so far. And if they are, she's going to take this opening set, no doubt. Moved from and then he moved to Florida. The train. He's Chilean, the Osaka is Japanese. I mean, he's Chilean in the sense that his parents, right, were. So he's living there now. There are, of course, two things, right? Ius sanguinis, ius soli. He's there by the law of blood, for the most part. If it is up to your opinion, who would you extract out of the top 10 in the rankings? I mean, Vondroushova clearly is not really a top 10 player at this stage. Her ranking is built 90%, well, about 60% on Wimbledon. So, well, I don't really have any priority in extracting any player out of the top 10, but after Wimbledon, I think Marketa Vondroushova very clearly will be out of the top 10 unless she does the unthinkable again. So, I mean, yeah, she's going to be out very soon. I think Kinven is, very talented, and to me deserves to be in the top 10. But well, she hasn't been able to touch Świątek, Sabalenka, or Rybakina so far, and that kind of just very confidently puts her in that group of players, let's say ranked to 7 to 10 rather than 1 to 5, right? Sakai obviously in good form. She should be in the top 10. Uh, she needs to get something going in order to, like, again, because like Vondrousova, she's going to be dropping a lot of points, right, at Wimbledon. So I think right now, out of the top 10 players, probably Jabber and Vondrousova are the overranked ones. And Pegula, of course, has been out, so it's tough to sort of say what to do with her. But I mean, she her ranking. I mean, she definitely does, because if you've earned the points, you deserve it. But yeah, and Vondrousova, I would say, are the ones that don't really produce a top 10 level right now, or at least do it on occasion only. But it's likely that by Wimbledon they will both be out. Yeah, I didn't watch that much either, Ghosty, so I can't help. But maybe someone else from the chat can talk about that. Yeah, I was just reading a very interesting book about this, actually. Well, sort of about this. It's like a memoir of um, a person whose mother died, but that said person was born in Seoul, and her mother was Korean, but her father was American. And like a big theme of the book is also that, like, sort of her cultural identity, because when she went to Asia as a kid, sort of to visit relatives, then they didn't consider her Korean, and in the kids didn't consider her American either. So she was like stuck between these two worlds, uh, too self-conscious. And a lot of the time I feel like these thoughts, like, it's kind of your fault that you're getting into all of these discussions with yourself and sort of like debating your identity in that way. I think that's something that you should probably work out and focus on more important things in a way, which I know is a bit harsh, but it was still a good book. Definitely the sort of the moments relating to her mother's death were quite touching. My audio is cutting out. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe it was uh, the internet for a second. I'm not sure. Thank you, Terry, for this one. Coco played the best match I've seen from her in a long time. Do you think it will be enough for Świątek? You know my answer, probably. Nurlan, however, or maybe Nurlan can give us his. Is Coco Gauff going to beat Iga Świątek tomorrow? That's going to be, of course, the one women's semifinal tomorrow. The other, we still have to look at, I mean, we still have to set up, and we're going to do that today by virtue of these two matches, Ostapenko Sabalenka and Azarenka Collins. So we might get another Sabalenka Collins, which, by the way, was one of the best matches of Madrid, but it has been overshadowed so much by Sabalenka Świątek, especially, and even by Sabalenka Rybakina, that if no one remembers that Sabalenka Collins also happened. Well, this is so far pretty brutal, but Ostapenko won that seventh game, and now it's Aryna trying to serve out the first set. As I've said, so far she had zero on her serve. She's getting a pretty high percentage of them in, I think. She's dominating the points early and not giving Ostapenko any chance to hit back. Sort of while I was talking about this, we have this stat on the screen, which is just points won on serve. And basically, Aryna is winning 3 out of 4 so far, which obviously in 90% of the cases is going to just lead you to easy holds. However, here 15 all, she makes an error on that +1 backhand. Maybe it's not over yet. Certainly, it feels like some of that high percentage that she's been getting in on first serve, like it feels a little manufactured by her, because I don't think she's going for like very tough targets for the most part. I think she's kind of focused on that. And well, that seems to be a good choice so far. Anyway, that's a crazy point. Sabalenka is there with this short angled backhand pass, which is enough to make Ostapenko uncomfortable. But I thought Jelena still did a very good job here. I mean, she very easily could have made that last shot. It was just a little behind the baseline. Kind of had to like make her backhand super compact and be creative about this. Yeah, the clay is in Sabalenka's eyes and she can't serve. But it's 30-15. Another good first serve. And she just takes that ball from Ostapenko and smashes it on the +1 forehand. Again, I don't think she's going for like very tricky target. I think she's going for her spots like hardcore today, Sabalenka. And that seems to be working very well for her. So, and another first serve in. I mean, 6-2, that was really as good as you can get, I think, in this set from Sabalenka against someone like Ostapenko, completely dominating her on serve and return. 71% first serves in. Yeah, as I said, I feel like she's actually really focusing on getting a lot of them in and not risking all that much. First serve, just going for easy targets. And yeah, so far, so good. That was real dominance. I mean, if they keep going like this, I might as well just finish off the match myself. I only have 47 minutes from here, but well, of course, it's a big ask for Sabalenka to keep dominating like this. We know what Ostapenko is as well. She can fire up at any time, but I just don't feel like she has a chance to fire up so far. Like thus far, she's just getting blasted off the court and hasn't really been in the position to do something about it. But well, let's see what her problem-solving skills are like today, because that's kind of what she's gonna have to do here. Problem solve, and preferably problem solve very quickly as well. I'm a fan of Goff's defensive style, but I would have thought Shank's rally tolerance could have neutralized it. Shank kept overhitting, says Terry. They have actually played before at Rome, Ramon, but it was very close. I see Coco's defense and Shank frustrating. I mean, Nulan, yeah, but it was in 2021, right? It was the first match that they played against one another, and all the other straight set wins for Świątek were just like total dominance, even in slower conditions. I think I've said a few times that it was like 2021, 2022 onwards, I think, is where we have to kind of draw the line between Świątek and Świątek. Just like with Sabalenka, there's a line around the US Open in 2022 or maybe 2023 where her previous head-to-heads don't really matter. I would actually be surprised if Świątek loses more games than against Kerber, for example, or if it's as tough as it was against Kerber. But let's see. She hasn't indeed. She has some really ugly wins lately, indeed. But the main problem for her was that even though she was like still winning matches, she wasn't even getting to these players like Sabalenka, Rybakina, Świątek, right? I mean, literally one match that she's played against them this year was the semi-final of the Australian Open against Sabalenka. And I know she was pretty close there, like pretty much should have won the first set if her forehand suddenly didn't say no at 6-5. But what I'm trying to say is that the problem until recently was that while she was still consistently beating most of the tour, she wasn't even getting to these matches with the big guns. She gets that chance now. I don't think she's going to take it, but at least she gets that opportunity tomorrow to prove us all wrong. Ines absolutely brutalized poor John Silk. I didn't see that. How did you see that? Can we actually can I finally get the recording of my clash with John? I actually will have to ask him for that because I'm coming home soon and my dad will definitely want to watch it. So I will have to ask John to send me over the recording finally. I don't care if it's unedited. I don't care if it's just, the raw video. I definitely want to watch it with my father and laugh about my footwork. Well, I will make sure that he sends me that before I'm home. I'm actually going home tomorrow, so. Ghosty. I'm just gonna put that on the screen and not comment or read, but that's your choice. And love 30 here for the Ostapenko serve already, but she does get out of trouble here. That's a nice serve plus one combination. I mean, she rarely gets a chance to do that in this match so far. This time I like how she hooked this forehand a little bit more than usual. She has Sabalenka on the defense as well in the next point, and she's going to start the second set with a hold. That was a brilliant backhand down the line. Again, just kind of like a really creative shot as well, in that it wasn't just a regular hitting position. It was pretty low after the last Sabalenka get. She has to be super precise there, but she manages to get it in and gets a very important ball. Stats of the first set on our screens, nothing that interesting to be honest. On second serve, Ostapenko only winning 50% of the points. So yeah, that's pretty crucial. Still 34-25 in terms of total points won. Like it wasn't that lopsided, but it actually kind of was. And also, of course, no break points for Ostapenko. Aryna winning about 35% or even more on her serve, general, plus breaking twice, plus generating 6 break points. Ostapenko, something needs to change very soon for Ostapenko to still be in this match in, let's say, an hour, right? I subscribed to Talking Tennis in the regular sense, that I clicked the red button, but I'm not a member, no. I will say that if I was going to pay some money to John, that would be a bit stupid. Actually, I have to pay him back some money, but he still haven't sent me the PayPal. But I do have to pay him back uh, what was it? 18 euros? I don't remember, something like that. 16 euros? 16 euros, I think, yeah. I do have to pay him back 16 euros, but that's not for getting some content of Talking Tennis. That's for, I'm not going to say it like John said it at night in Portugal. That's for a chicken restaurant and also for the courts that we rented. I actually don't know how Caroline Garcia's boyfriend looks. I might have to look that up. I know she's 30 though, because I remember that tweet from her when she said that for the first time in her career, a sponsor denied her a deal because of her age, which was very interesting just to sort of look at that from maybe a perspective that we don't usually do it in terms of yes, a sponsor looking for players that they can hire and sort of when they decide to do it. Of course, that will be a little different in this game where I guess at 30 you are closer to your retirement on average than, let's say, 32 on the men's or something like that. But still, obviously, that does come into play. I think Luca Pui also said some interesting things about that a couple of years ago. And of course, he mentioned his depression, given that he was off the court for so much and injured all the time. But basically, what he said there was that at some point when he was off the court for so long, he basically lost all of his sponsors like very quickly, other than the clothing, I think. So yeah, that's something that the players also have to worry about in terms of an absence, or yeah, just in terms of closer to the end of their careers and trying to attract a potential representation, a potential brand just isn't as easy. 16 euros. It was 8 euros for that chicken joint and 8 euros for the court. John paid for both things simply, and I have to give that back to him. I mean, 16 euros is, well, let's just say that in Poland for 16 euros you would buy a lot of sandwiches. Modern capitalism loves a young body. That was relating to, I guess, Garcia and sponsorships. I mean, sure. I don't think that she is more talented than. I mean, it depends. In terms of maybe like songwriting, telling a story, she could be more talented than Annie Lennox. In terms of her vocals, no. In terms of her, let's say, musical versatility, probably not. But I mean, trends change for sure, and probably the sort of stardom that Taylor Swift has achieved is a little unprecedented, even in terms of her global impact. Which, yeah, of course, it is a little manufactured by what's going on around us. There are more talented people in the industry than her. Yeah, sure. Called here, she's gonna like that. She's gonna wanna keep going here and potentially threaten Sabalenka at some point. That was some better serving, just easier points that she could set up for herself. That's kind of been the match, right? I mean, we've got so many that don't even go above 5 shots here. But I guess that was too expected. And well, Nick will be doing Azarenka Collins, apparently, says John. Yeah, they haven't played since 2019. I think they also played in 2020 at a pandemic EXO, but of course, we're not going to count that. You're right. And there was also something from Nurlan. What are your thoughts about Andreeva getting dominated and outpowered by Badosa? I mean, overpowered, that's normal with their game styles. I haven't seen a much. Getting dominated to the extent that I think she got, based on the stats and what people told me, yeah, that was a little disappointing, I would say, that she wasn't able to compete with Paula. Of course, it's great that Badosa had this run. I mean, she clearly still has the level, but well, she's been struggling to keep herself healthy 1 or 2 matches recently. But yeah, I would say that it was a little disappointing to see Mirra dominated like this. I think on the recent WTA Weekly that I did with Nick, I said a few things about Mirra in that I don't actually consider that Madrid run to be that much better than 2023. Like, Nick was trying to push that narrative that she actually competed more with Aryna, which I don't think she did. So players like, to a lesser extent, but Sabalenka, Badosa, players like this with like super strong both wings, like Vansh would say, it's strong of both wings. I think they are a problem for Mira for now, for sure. But yeah, the level of domination that especially Badosa seemingly showed over her, was a little disappointing. I think the only sort of like real positive from the Madrid run for Mira was that she was out for a couple of months. She needed that, but it wasn't actually better than 2023. I don't think this actually showed any progress compared to where she was that point in 2023. But for now, of course, maybe we need a bigger sample, just a few more events for her to get back in rhythm, and we'll see sort of if any progress has been made. This part of the season was, of course, when she was at her strongest in 2023. So she, even if she doesn't, do super well at Wimbledon, some time to pick up and potentially was again with her tennis skills. By now, it kind of feels like Ostapenko example here. I know it's not much, but like this is a spot where you could potentially trouble Sabalenka, and she hasn't been able to take that. She hasn't been able to put her in any danger because she's missing some of these neutral trade forehands. Oh wow, that could have been one of the shots of the match, but I think Sabalenka back and down the line. Is the umpire checking it? I guess not. She really has a ridiculously strong frame to even pull this off here, but I think she just missed it. So it is Ostapenko sort of for the first time coming close to Sabalenka on return. 30 all, but there's another first serve from Sabalenka that Ostapenko can't quite put back into the court. And I think, again, that's just Aryna being pretty smart about her margins on that first serve, focusing on getting a lot of them in. Again, the next serve is exactly that. It's not directed at the line. It's really just decent power without much care for placement, but it's smart. It's working great. 2 games all now in the second set, and she hasn't still been like, okay, he was a 30-30, but he just blasted 2 unturned serves, So I can't really say she was in big trouble. Do I feel Higa is too old to be a Swiftie? Yeah, I mean, if you break down of Taylor Swift fans, I doubt they would end at 20, in fact, I think most Taylor Swift fans would probably be around Iga's age. I don't know. Just a guess here, though. Also, I don't think you can really be too old to enjoy any music, film, piece of culture, or whatever. Maybe, in extreme cases, yes. I mean, if you're watching Teletubbies at 30 years old and you're not doing it for like nostalgia purposes, there's probably something wrong with your development. But I mean, there are a lot of kids shows that are still applicable to adults as well. So other than stuff literally composed for 5-year-old babies and less, probably fine. So yeah, I don't think there's I don't think it exists being too old to be a Swiftie. Should you check out that dummy drama you tweeted? You could. Like, it's a pretty funny rant. It's when he gets broken in the second set, when he gets broken for the first time, and he has this pretty funny rant about to the umpire about like when you make a mistake, do you get less salary because I drink well? And it goes on for a while. The supervisor comes. I know you like that stuff, so I think it's worth checking out. It's the first break in the second set for free Landalusa. Basically, you should watch from like 30-40 or like 40-30 Jumhur, because I think that's the point when he gets the warning for throwing the ball out of the stadium, and then 2 points later the audible obscenity point penalty happens. So Yeah, I guess if you're a big Justin Bieber fan at 30 years old, then something might be wrong with you, actually. But maybe that's all. That's to all age groups simply. Also, I think you're probably older than 30, Ghosty. I'm just using this as an example. 3-2 Ostapenko. Some better holds for her now. Aryna not doing quite as much damage on the return, and we have Ostapenko in the set. She's in it. She's not giving up quite yet. She's not dominated like she was in the opener. But still, the question is whether she will actually be able to put any pressure on Sabalenka, who's been serving very well and very controlled today, if that makes sense. And earlier, which was like an hour ago, I was supposed to talk about Sabalenka, Ostapenko, and the history of their matchup, which I actually didn't intend. But what I was going to say is that basically, a little surprising, right? Because, well, they've been on the tour together for a few years now. But in 2019, they played in, what was it, Zhengzhou, I think, and Sabalenka won very easily, 6-1, 6-2. I think at the time, she was already regarded as the favorite there, even though Ostapenko was, of course, a slam champion. But I don't think that was a good year for Jelena. And then also last year, they played in Dubai, which was a wild clash. I can't say it was too thrilling, but it was three sets. Yet Ostapenko won the first one 6-2, and then Aryna won the next two 6-1, 6-1. So it does demonstrate something in this matchup, right? When one player is like pretty dominant, they usually just crush the other. So in fact, this set that we're watching right now, if Aryna wins this game, it's already going to be the closest set they have ever played, because in Zhengzhou it was 6-1, 6-2. In Dubai it was 6-1, 6-1, and of course 6-2 here for Sabalenka the first set. So indeed, if Aryna wins this game, it's going to be the closest set they've ever had against one another, which is kind of telling about how this matchup is looking. Of course, it's not a big sample size, right? It's just the third match. It's just the seventh set they're playing against one another. But yeah, the player who's dominating, the player who's on top, the player who's in charge, they usually just steamroll. At least in terms of, because of course Dubai went free, and the winner of all of these three sets obviously wasn't the same player. Nice point here from Ostapenko, though. Despite the first serve from Sabalenka, she manages to force Aryna to hit this very tough lob, which she doesn't make. But again, just a good serve in terms of not going for anything straight up down the middle, but with power, surprising Ostapenko. And it's another unreturned serve, kind of out of nothing in a way. She's not aiming for the lines, but she's getting very good results thanks to that high percentage and just making sure that Jelena has nothing to attack. This time she did go for the line. She lands it here too. So it's 6-2, 3-all. Still absolutely no issues on the Sabalenka serve. And that's been a real stain on Ostapenko's performance so far. And honestly, it's more of a, let's say, it shouldn't be a criticism of Ostapenko, really, but rather praise for Aryna and how she's been handling this match. Clearly have a very nice idea about how to play this as well. But at least in the second set, Ostapenko has been holding up. She's keeping up with her. She's within touching distance. So as we know, by the time we get to like 5-4, 6-5, maybe that's a moment when some pressure will hit Aryna hard, or maybe the tiebreak or something like that. I mean, we'll find out. But of course, Ostapenko needs to keep going. That back hit down the line is absolutely spectacular. So she might give herself a chance, but she's stretched on defense here, and this loopy shot is not going to make the court. I think Aryna also like slightly better recovery skills. Like I think he turns the points around a little bit better than Ostapenko. It's a marginal advantage. I think it is pretty close between them in that regard, but she is a better mover. She actually has a shot at surviving an Ostapenko onslaught, whereas I don't think we've really seen that from Jelena. I think whenever she's behind in a point, and this rally was a very good representation of this actually, because the first shot she like already has to crouch for, and she just lets it be like a total setup for Aryna. And then the next one, she just completely loses her balance on. The defense is definitely more clunky than Aryna's, and I don't think it's a major part of the match. It's still more about that serve return contrast, but it is something to consider definitely in terms of Jelena's potential issues in this matchup. And well, now she's trying to line up for this forehand down the line, but she's completely off again. And it's 2 break points for Sabalenka, who has been on serve so far. So being up a set and a break would be a massive advantage for her. It's been only an hour since this match began, and Sabalenka looks to set up a potentially winning advantage. The return is pretty big, and it's going to be good enough. Just the timing advantage again on Ostapenko. The fact that the +1 shot, she has to hit it already just a little off her usual pace, and it's another. So 6-2, 4-3, Sabalenka. Pretty dominant so far. Now let's see if she can also drive home. Today is Andy Murray's birthday. Did you just multiply the Murray age by 2? This would be a concerning loss for Agvi. I actually don't even know who he's playing. Let me grab my phone and check out, because I don't think I've really noticed him in this week's draws. Yeah. I see you got to that 4-way origin of Michael Agvi. I think he has all 4 flags on his Instagram or something like that. And, some time ago, someone asked me about this on Twitter. That's the answer. What you said was the answer I had to give them. Okay, so I was supposed to go Agvi, right? I guess think still something on clay, but I don't know. Just a guess, really. I think with the body of work that Agvi has done this season, like it's tough to say that any loss would be very concerning at the moment. He's already improved his ranking so much. It would be amazing if he started just playing indoor challenger qualifying at the end of the year, which I don't think he's that far from right now, but we'll see. Anyway, he's playing Beric. I don't know if I'm aware of this guy. Carlo Beric from Germany. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I know him. Beat Sheen recently, lost to Leopold Zima, but almost beat Reberg in January, actually. Indoors. I think in that event that Agvi, or no, actually, earlier than that event that Agvi won. Anyway, 15 here. Sabalenka unloading the Ostapenko power with some slices. pretty interesting too. And she manages to win the point. Jelena only really having the patience for like one or two of them. So are they just playing in Antalya then? Or yeah, Antalya. But okay, he's still starting the first set. I mean, I don't think Agvi is going to be that amazing on clay. I know he's just done really well in what was the ITF event? Oh Jesus, I don't remember even. But then of course in Antalya as well. I know he's just done really well, but like he's not really that amazing on clay. But yeah, he's still in this. He can still do it. And I guess as I said, not much would be that concerning at the moment, given what he's done this year already is pretty spectacular. Anyway, 4-3, 40-15 for Sabalenka. Ooh, she kind of gets surprised by this deep from Ostapenko here. Completely messes up her backhand here, but well, she's still 40-30, and time is running out for Ostapenko, so she needs to go huge. Flavio Cobolni has just been by the on running or like on tennis, whatever, the Świątek Shelton Fonseca thing. That's very interesting. Anyway, another good serve from Sabalenka, and she manages to clean up the +1 backhand. So that's an hour and 5 minutes in. She's been super dominant. She is actually like 17 minutes, but we'll see. She still needs at least one more game. Of course, in tennis, it's sometimes not easy just to cap off a match because of that scoring system and everything. I guess we'll find out really soon how she performs down the line here. And Ostapenko is probably going to at least ask a question of Aryna. 40 love up here. She looks like she's going to force Sabalenka to serve out this match to get another semi-final, as the Rome double is definitely going quite well for the Belarusian. It's think about like that Madrid final, right? I mean, you had 3 match points for Świątek, so right now we have Świątek going for back-to-back titles, Sabalenka for back-to-back finals, but it was so close to for us to have a completely different outlook on this. But that's how it works. And Ostapenko indeed holds 6-2, 5-4. Sabalenka just needs one more game, and so far she's been very dominant on serve. My audio is spotty again. Might want to check your connections. Interesting. I'm not really sure what to do about that because I'm using the usual internet. But well, maybe Sabalenka will hold, and then we don't have to worry about this. Oh, Jan Choinski. Jan Choinski, who, as I said in the past, is basically a mix of John and me, because John is from the United Kingdom, Great Britain, England, whatever, and he lives in Germany, whereas I'm from Poland, obviously, and Jan Choinski is Polish slash British slash Polish, so he is kind of a friend of ours. I've recently seen Jan Choinski as well, just last week in Mauthausen, but I didn't talk to him, given he lost to Luca Pui in the second round. And I didn't get a chance to, although I also wasn't that, particularly set on interviewing Choinski. I would have if he went deeper in the event. Like if he got to the quarters or the semis, I definitely would have. I actually got all the quarterfinalists on the Challenger pod, but well, he lost his chance by losing to Luca Pui. Of course, in the end, was the tournament winner, and he's had 3 consecutive set points in the so a big missed chance there for the Polish, German, Brit. If anyone is interested, it's not quite as convoluted as the Agvi family history, but his father is Polish, his mother is British, and he was born and lives in Germany. So he's one nation short, Michael Agvi, basically. He needs just one more thing, you know. Anyway, let's see if Sabalenka holds her nerve and holds her serve. She needs both things at the moment, and she is just free. He just dumped a pretty easy backhand into the net, which prompted me saying. And it's a double fault, so indeed, this is the toughest game that Sabalenka has endured on serve match, and she's not reacting that well. Ooh, that's I won't say unexpected. I mean, it can always happen when extra pressure is on. But given how the match had been going so far, it is a little unexpected. But well, another massive serve and a backhand down the line winner. Not the easiest shot, I would say, but she's so good about converting these positions, which for some players tend to be a little tricky, maybe with the backhand especially. Had to be pretty precise still with the angle, despite the half open court. She does it perfectly. And an ace down the tee. So she covers up for that double fault beautifully, and she's just 1 point away now. And she cleans it up with a good serve. Again, not really going for like a low margin target, just good enough into the box. Safe enough to have a high first serve percentage, but still like powerful enough to not let Ostapenko have the first strike. So I do think that was a pretty clinical Sabalenka performance in the end, especially in that serve return department. She was so dominant. Yeah, maybe Choinski can just come up. Is Mikael Immer really? Yeah. Mikael Immer actually just announced he was coming back. By the way, Ghosty, are you aware of the existence of Rafael Immer as well? Rafael Immer is the third brother, and he's playing an ITF event this week. He's the youngest of the three, of course. And yeah, Mikael is coming back. They are. I get what you mean as well. Like they are a little. They have a weird edge to them. Like Elias isn't the most pleasant person in the world, it seems. Mikael has had these interactions with Bostad, right, where he doesn't want to play there unless they give him cash. And so instead of a 250 at home, he actually plays a challenger that week. I think there's just 3. I'm not aware of anymore anyway. But Rafael Immer is also an aspiring tennis pro. For now, he's not really as good as his brothers, but well, he's got time. And I've only watched him like once, maybe in a pandemic exhibition, I think. So it was quite a long. But yeah, speaking of Sabalenka, as I said, really dominant return terms of that high margin serving. And I think it's a pretty brutal matchup actually for Ostapenko for the most part, the way that she's able to take that first strike away from Ostapenko. And of course, Jelena is a player who's like really, really set on being on the front foot, on being the one to strike first. And when it comes to her next opponent, she will play Azarenka or Collins. And as John told you earlier, Azarenka or Collins, that match will actually be on stream as well. Nick will do it later. Nice to see you, Ghosty, as well. Nice to see you, Nurlan, and everyone else who showed up in the chat. Thanks to everyone. And yeah, see you guys sometime soon. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.